Hey, small business people and lovers of good stories in general. Welcome to episode 37 of Small Business War Stories. Today I stopped in Nashville, Tennessee, and I sat down with Caroline Bridges Koch, who is a real estate agent in Nashville, Tennessee. So it was interesting to hear from her. She works mostly on the high end of the real estate market, to hear how she perceives the Nashville market and being a real estate agent, getting started in general. It's really a lot of good information there. She is also a children's book author, and she goes and does a lot of humanitarian work in Haiti, and it's really cool to hear her stories about that. So we'll talk about that as well. This episode was part of the Soul of America tour, and it is brought to you by Badger Mapping. Badger is an app that makes it easy for a rep to manage your territory. You can map everything and figure out where you need to go next. I used it during the Soul of America tour to map the tour with different podcast guests. And if you go to Badger Mapping and you tell them that if you found them in Small Business War Stories, they will give you 2 free months. And that's great. So go check them out, Badger Mapping. And the Soul of America tour is also brought to you by Tecovas Boots. If you're tired of paying $700 for handcrafted boots, well, go check out Tecovas, because they cut out the middleman. They make very, very high quality, very good looking boots for a fraction of the price, because instead of selling through stores, they sell directly to you. So definitely check out Tecovas, Tecovas boots.com. And the Soul of America tour is also brought to you by Impact Crates. Impact Crates are strong, safe, and secure dog crates. So they're collapsible crates. They're very good to travel in. And you can definitely keep your pup safe while driving around. That's what I did with my puppy, Muddy Waggers. And if you go to Impact Crates and use code MUDDY20, MUDDY20, you will get 20% off your Impact Crate. And like every episode of Small Business War Stories, this one is brought to you by Proven. Proven is a company I started with my business partner, Sean. So we love it. We're biased. But we are a leading small business hiring tool. We want you to get back as a small business owner to what you love doing instead of hiring. So we try to make it as painless as possible for you to post your job to over 100 job boards and then collect all of the applications in one place and collaborate with your coworkers in figuring out your perfect hire. Check it out. There's a free trial. There are thousands of small businesses that use Proven, and we cannot wait to have you as a customer. Without further ado, I want to get into episode 37 of Small Business War Stories with Caroline Bridges Koch in Nashville, Tennessee. Small Business War Stories. Small businesses are the soul of America. And this is where they tell their stories. I am your host, Pablo Fuentes. And we are live here in Nashville, Tennessee, and I have the pleasure today of sitting down with Caroline Koch, and you are a real estate agent here in Nashville, right?
Correct.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the show.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. So today we're going to talk a little bit about, so Nashville's been a really exciting market, and I really want to learn a little bit more from you about what it's like to be in real estate here. But maybe tell me before we go into that, how did you get into this? Why did you start in the real estate business?
Well, I really didn't want to.
Okay.
My husband is a great builder in town.
Okay.
So he was building a bunch of houses, and we were working with lots of different real estate agents, and there just came a point where it just was stupid that one of us was not an agent. I think that the deal breaker was one of our agents walked up to my husband and hit him and said, "Hey, thanks for my new Lexus." And that was the day Wes came home and said, "I'm not doing this anymore. We got too many kids to be buying people Lexuses."
Got it. How many kids do you have?
4.
4 kids. Wow.
Kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to buy the kids a Lexus. That's gonna
pay for college. So I was hesitant to get into it because I had been a stay-at-home mom, and at the time I had 3.
Okay.
And I don't know, it just seemed daunting to me to get into it.
Yeah.
But got my license, and then realized I had to join a firm, and then I realized I loved it.
Okay.
I love being with people. and I love homes. And I had a great segue because my husband is a really great, as I said, high-end builder. So I immediately had a great group of people that wanted me to help them.
And you had a natural pipeline of properties, right? You didn't.
Correct.
So you had. Is that still the main set of properties?
It's not.
Okay.
Back when I got my license, my husband was doing spec houses.
Yep, sure. Can you explain just a little bit what spec houses are for our
Yeah, he would buy a lot and build a big old house, and he was, his were usually right under $2 million. Is kind of what he was doing. So they were big ticket items, and a lot of firms were interested in having me join their team.
Sure
and then he really only does customs now.
Okay.
So
what's the difference between a custom and a spec?
Really different. So a custom is when someone employs him to build their house. A spec is when it's on my husband's dime and he builds it and then sells it, and that's how he makes money.
Got it. So basically the difference is who decides what the house looks like and what it.
Yeah, big difference. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Tell me a little bit more about the real estate market here in Nashville. So the first time I came to Nashville, I want to say is about 7 or 8 years ago. And it's changing a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's one of the southern economies, engines of growth.
Yeah.
And that has to affect the real estate market. So tell me what's that been like?
Oh, it's been great. And it's interesting because I got into real estate in 2008, right before the big fall.
Okay.
And Nashville really did experience a low point. In 2009, it was bad.
Yeah.
So really anything I can't go anywhere but up is the way I looked at it. So, I when I first got my license, immediately I had about $4 million of personal real estate on the market.
Wow.
In a really hard time to sell.
Yeah.
Right.
So you got your license what year, you said?
2008.
Okay, so you got your license right there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And I immediately represented our own properties.
Makes sense. Got it. Okay.
It was a little stressful. I was pregnant with our fourth child. He was very small.
Yeah.
I had to explain to the doctor I'm under a lot of duress right now, trying to sell these houses, and no one was buying anything. It was stressful.
Yeah, I bet.
But we pulled through. Wes doing great. He's building a ton of houses, and I'm still loving it.
Cool. So what are some of the pros and cons of people buying and selling here in a market like this? So do you see? I mean, obviously affordability is a big issue. Tell me more about that. Like, how are neighborhoods changing? How is that affecting affordability?
I mean, there are a lot of different pockets in Nashville. You know, when someone is saying, well, how hot's the market? It just depends on the price range, really.
Okay.
There are certain areas, Sylvan Park, it's just hot tamales. You know, I was having lunch with a client last week who bought a house in Sylvan Park 2 years ago, and already she could turn around and make a bunch of money.
Okay.
It's different. My house, we're in Belmead area, and it's still great over here, but it's just a real different personality for each neighborhood.
Sure. I'm staying in a house in East Nashville now. That's a neighborhood that seems like it's changing a lot, right? So tell me more about that. What's that? What is that?
Well, and that's not my forte.
Okay.
This area really is, and I'm real honest with people about that. I mean, I'm not a real estate agent that's in the office every day handing out my cards. I do most of my business in hookup line, picking up kids in the afternoon, which is a great audience.
Your customers.
It's just who I'm around.
Yeah.
If someone comes to me and says, I'm really interested in East Nashville, I said, that is awesome, and I'm going to give you somebody's name.
Got it.
To me, some agents would think, oh, you're crazy for doing that, but I can't really sell something well unless I know it well.
Got it. That makes sense.
But East Nashville's on fire.
Yeah. So what else is changing about the city?
Oh gosh. Well, a lot. I'm seeing so many people literally pick up everything, kids, businesses, and move here. I'm working with clients right now from California that they just were ready for a little bit more of a traditional lifestyle.
Yeah.
Maybe Nashville's a great place to raise a family.
Yeah.
It's interesting, too. I'm from Austin, and people love to compare these cities.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, I've been hearing it for 20 years that they're exactly the same. Well, they're not.
Well, how are they similar and how are they different?
Well, they're similar because they both are cities with great souls.
Yeah.
They have a lot of personality. They're both music towns. Now, those music businesses are very different.
Sure thing.
And they're both college towns, but hello, Vanderbilt, University of Texas are very different,
Yep.
but they both have they're just chock full of coolness. Austin's ahead of Nashville, but I've never seen Nashville mirror Austin more than right now in its trajectory of growth, real estate, business. Nashville's getting cooler.
Okay, awesome. What would you say is something, if somebody is new to the Nashville market, what should they think about when looking for a house?
Save your money.
Okay.
And just try and get to know it.
Okay.
You know, it's hard when I'm working with people that, and I've got a lot of them that are new to town.
Okay.
You know, because you want to help them make a great decision,
Yeah.
and where you live is it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And if they really, you know, of course, budget determines so much.
Sure.
But I've got a couple clients who really could spend whatever they want, and that is a great thing. But it also is more pressure on me to find. It's almost like matchmaking.
Yeah, that's a high quality problem though.
It's a good problem to have.
Gotcha. So you're involved in your community a lot. You do a lot of work, and I'd love to learn more about that and understand how that dovetails with your business. Do you ever feel like you're too thinly spread? How do you feel about that?
Oh, I've been too thinly spread my entire life.
Okay.
It just works for me.
Got it.
Maybe some people not so much. I mean, I've got 4 kids.
Yeah.
End of the story.
Yeah.
So I'm very involved in their schools. I'm very involved with my church. I am very passionate about Haiti. I don't know if I've told you about that.
No, you haven't. Tell me more about that.
So I'm involved with a ministry down in Haiti,
Wow.
Special Needs Orphanage.
Wow.
And I actually wrote a book about it. I don't know if I've told you I'm a children's author, but I do that on the side as
Oh,
well.
no, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Cool.
I
Okay.
do that. And so I just wrote a book called My Heart in Haiti that is benefits My Life Speaks, this awesome ministry down there. I go to Haiti quite a bit.
Okay. Where can people find this book? Is it on Amazon?
They can find it. No. Well, Magpies is an amazing place that always carries my book.
Okay.
And
we are going to have the founder of Magpies on the show.
no way. I have a website that I sell them there as well.
Yeah.
In Austin, of course, we sell a lot of those in Austin too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So how often do you go to Haiti?
I went a couple months ago, and I'm going back in June. I try and get there once or twice a year.
Yeah.
This has been about a 3-year journey for me, so it's not like it's been in my life a long, long time.
Okay. Yeah, it's really interesting. I was actually just in Chicago staying with a friend of mine who's a doctor.
Okay.
And he had just come back from spending, I think, a week or 2 in Haiti as treating in a free clinic.
Cool.
Down there. He was telling me it's an intense place. It sounds
It's
like.
intense.
Yeah.
But I have yet to be in a place with less pretenses.
Okay.
You know, it's nice. They do not speak English. Most of the people speak Creole.
Okay.
And it forces you to just do a lot of physical contact.
Yeah.
You know, so to say hi to someone, it's a hug.
Yeah.
You know.
Is it the same kind of Creole that like the sort of Louisiana Creole, or is it just sound
Haitian Creole?
Yeah.
You know, it was originally a French
Yeah.
territory,
Sure
so it sounds very French, but then it's got some Caribbean vibe to it. It's really
Yeah.
a cool language.
All right. Very
Yeah.
cool. What are some of the oddest or wackiest things that you've seen in your line of work? I'm sure that, you know, from seeing so many different types of houses, what's the wackiest feature maybe that you've ever seen in a house?
Well, I just left a house an hour ago that had his and her potties facing each other through a clear shower. And I just thought, you know, I just don't think it's a good idea for marriage, you know, not working.
I would say that's probably
I was insistent that we change that. You know, that didn't work for me. Snakes, we find snakes quite a bit.
in the houses?
Yeah, big snakes. Critter Control is my friend.
Wow.
There is a fabulous
What are they,
company.
pythons?
No pythons. No. We have just large garden snakes. But
Got it.
but critter, you know, I've had lots of families of skunks and possums and but you just call Critter Control, they come right out. It's good to go.
Awesome. So you go in there and kind of assess the situation and figure out how to go from there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, so you told me that initially it was challenging to deal with the real estate market in 2008 with the crash. Can you tell me of a time other than that when things maybe went sideways and you had like a real big challenge that you didn't really exactly know how to solve, and how did you go about solving that?
Well, you mean the time that I told everyone I quit?
Let's
Okay.
talk about that.
Let's talk about that. So 2 years ago, I had this huge epiphany and I was ecstatic. I quit. I was done. I called Shelly Bearden, who I share an office with, and I said, okay, you're going to hate me, but I'm out. Done. Goodbye. I'm packing up all my stuff. But it's a little bit like the mafia. You kind of can't.
Wow.
Once you're in, you're in. And I think I had gotten to that point. I had some stressful situations. This business is hard because it's not a for sure paycheck at all. In fact, you know, there are times when you show someone one house and they buy it, and then there's sometimes when you show someone house for 3 years and they never buy anything, and there's hours and hours and hours of just, you know, there's nothing lucrative about that.
Right.
So I was just done at that point, but I decided I loved it and got back in. So I never really quit.
Right.
I never told.
Okay, hold on. There's got to be some intermediate steps there between I quit and I love it, I'm getting back in.
I just needed a break.
Okay.
The nice thing about real estate, there really is, you're working for yourself.
Yeah.
So I really didn't have to quit. I just mentally quit for a couple of months.
Okay.
And now it might have hurt my business a little bit. I was telling a client, I was like, now I'm going to have to do some recourse here. I told everybody I quit.
Okay.
But then they just keep calling. And
Yeah.
you just are in a better mood and you say, sure, let's go. What time do you want to go see it?
Wow. All right. Sounds cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more. You mentioned the challenge of cash flows, right? And like it's a very, especially when people are starting off in the business, it can be really unpredictable. Sometimes people sell, you know, you can have 6 months where you're on fire, and then 6 months where nothing happens, and you know you have to spend your money accordingly and figure out your budget and all that. How do you think about that challenge?
Well, that is a great point. And I actually have some friends. My rule of thumb is, if you're interested in doing it, I wholeheartedly think you should try. But if you have to make a certain amount, I don't advise getting into it.
Really? You would say just don't do it?
Well, I mean, you just have to know going into it, you may not see $1 for a long time.
Yeah.
So typically it can be a great allure for, let's say, a single mom, someone who's just divorced and they've got some kids and they think, well, I've heard so-and-so made $100,000 the first year. I'm just going to go get into that. And it can be a false perception that that's going to come easily.
Yeah.
You know, so you
So
can.
What would you say if somebody were interested into getting into real estate? Interested in getting into real estate? Sorry. What would you say to them about how would you manage that going in?
Gosh, you know, I always want to encourage people to do it because that's what people did for me. There are a lot, you know, you can throw a rock and hit a real estate agent really probably in any town, in any big city.
Sure.
And I was nervous. There were some friends of mine who are agents before me would be annoyed, like, oh, great, you know, you're going to steal all my clients. But a good friend of mine gave me wise words and just said, you know, there's enough business for everybody. Yeah. Every single one of my best friends did this. There would be enough business for that. So I certainly want to encourage people to get into it. Yeah. They need to have their expectations that it might not be lucrative at first.
Right.
And it's
for
a lot of work.
I mean, what do you think? What do you think is the average? That's a great question. What do you think is the average for somebody who first gets into real estate from the time that they say, boom, flag on the ground, I'm going to be a real estate agent, to the first check that they get?
Oh, that is really hard. That's a really hard question.
Sure, but what's the range? I mean,
a year. I mean, it could be a year before they see a check. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
So that's.
But it depends on your community. It depends how many people you've got in the pipeline.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people start because they may have a husband or family members that are coming to town that they just think, oh, this is easy money. I mean, I got to get my license so I can help these 3 people waiting in line.
Right.
They may see someone right away, but if you have no experience with it, no ties to it, it could be a long time before you get paid.
Cool. What would you say is the number one piece of advice or thought that you would have for somebody trying to start a small business?
Oh, for a small business, not even real estate?
Yeah, any small business. I mean, I think for us, a lot of our audience are folks that are in, you know, that either interested in starting a small business or are currently running a small business. So as I go on the Soul of America tour, I've been talking to a lot of folks and kind of just figuring out what is the number one piece of wisdom that everybody has to kind of get
I have kind of started a list of just rules that I go by.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I mean, like, gravity is helpful to know that if you drop something, it's going to go down, right?
Yeah.
I'm a rule person. As my husband says, yes, we know, a little too much of a rule follower. But,
okay.
But rules help me. So probably the number one rule, and I really learned this in real estate, and I think it could be applied to anything, is effort counts.
Okay.
I mean, it just does. You don't have to worry about, will this really matter in the end? It will. I don't know exactly how, but effort counts.
Yeah.
So if that, for me in my industry, it's showing up for being there in the flesh for showing.
That makes me feel better about taping 4 shows today.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you reap what you sow. Basically, you want them,
You
put in the
do.
effort.
I mean, in silly things, turning lights on and off, it matters. It does. Calling that person back right away, it does matter. So that's a helpful rule for me to know. I may not see the fruit of that right away, but I have to just know that's what I operate on.
That's awesome. What are your any other rules that you want to share?
Well, another one is effort counts and words matter. I think words, for good or for bad.
Yeah.
Professionally speaking, I have seen some train wrecks because of some careless words.
Yeah.
And then, so mainly I'm talking about restraint.
Can you think of a good story without naming names about somebody that train wrecked themselves with their
Yeah,
words?
I can. No names mentioned, but yeah, it all comes back. I mean, I tell my girls, when you say something about somebody else, let's say you're gossiping or something, you have to know that will get back to them. So are you comfortable saying it? I've had people, there was someone that said to one of my clients, "Oh, really? You're using her? Does she really do that much? Or, does she know what she's doing or something?" And kind of breathe this air of doubt, cloud of doubt on this client of mine. And, that's not going to serve her very well.
Yeah.
Your words come back to you, so they're important. So use them wisely.
Sounds good to me. I like that. What's it like to do business in Nashville? So what's your relationship with other small business people? Maybe what's your relationship with the government? Do you feel like it's a friendly
Yes.
place?
Yeah. And, speaking of Austin, I mean, another reason why Austin and Nashville are so different is Nashville is a conservative place. I mean, maybe we're getting less so.
Okay.
We're kind of in transitional mode, but it's a good old boy place. It's got a real air of Southern conservative, even who matters. It's a happy spot. My mom always says the minute she touches down, she can just feel the Holy Spirit in the air.
All right. Well, that's an interesting way to tie all that together, the conservatism with the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
But okay.
We're in the Bible Belt.
There you go. Where can people find you? If anybody wants to find you, if they're interested in engaging in real estate here in Nashville, where are your websites?
Well, Worth Properties is where I have my license. Great company here in town.
Okay.
And you can find me there. You can just pull up Caroline Koch Real Estate. But yeah, I'm pretty easy to find if you Google me.
Do you use social media at all to promote your business?
Not in real estate. I do, through Worth. We have a couple employees that are that do that. So yes, I do. Okay. Not as much Instagram. I don't. I do that for my books, though. I have my Instagram for my books.
So where can people find your books, and where can people find more information about this Haiti program?
Well, okay. Books by CBC is my Instagram. And then CarolineBridgesCook.com is my website where I have all my books for sale. And then, like I said, Magpies, Dotted Line, Helen's, Logos. Those are all places that sell my books here in town.
That is awesome. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me today in Small Business War Stories and sharing a little bit more about your story and about Nashville.
Thank you.
So high five. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Small Business War Stories. If you enjoy the show, share it with a friend, or you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or on our blog at blog.proven.com. If you have an idea for us, we'd love to hear it. Please email us at podcast@proven.com. See you next time. Small Business War Stories. Small businesses are the soul of America. And this is where they tell their stories. I am your host, Pablo Fuentes.